My name is Eris Pemasai, and I'll be talking about how dance has influenced my life and how it's changed my life as well. So there's my title page, and then next we have the timeline of it all. So it starts with me at Northwest Studio Ballet. That was the very first step of my dance experience. And then number two, Nutcracker auditions. I remember my mom saw in the newspaper one time that Northwest Studio was holding Nutcracker auditions, and she had already tried putting me in dance before, so she just wanted to get me into something else, have me do something extracurricular. And then three, we had more and more roles every year. So I actually auditioned and then I ended up doing it for many years, I would say 5 or 6. And I ended up getting able to do a lot of different roles such as angel, candy cane, flower, snowflake, etc. And then I moved on to Shirley Winter's ballet, and then after that I only performed the Nutcracker one more time. And then there's a picture of me in the top right corner right there. So that's just the setting of it all. I started at Northwest, went to Shirley Winters, and then after that I was all done. And then here I am. This is the very first time I got my pointe shoes, and I only had one pair of pointe shoes all my life. Not one pair, but one brand. I did the Russian points, and those were the only ones that suited my feet because I had a very, very strong arch and strong point. Let's see. And then here's a picture of me during the Nutcracker days, which were very stressful. It took up a lot of my time, and we rehearsed for almost half the year just for literally 1 or 2 shows. Let's see here. So here's a little insight on like our schedule. We started in the summertime, like I said, and went all the way to the wintertime. Sometimes we had all day rehearsals. Sometimes we would go to class and do some technique for a little bit and then move on to our actual rehearsals for Nutcracker after that. And then during the weekends, I remember we always had rehearsal, and that was really tough trying to balance just regular life, school, and dance all together. But I do feel that I succeeded in doing all this, even though it was a lot. And also considering that I was very young, it was a lot on my parents too, transportation wise, having to take me back and forth all the time. And Northwest Dance Studio was really far away from the houses that I used to live at. So I have dance. This was a little quote that I added here. And I said, so much time was spent in the studio, and school was always just in quotations there. Even though this was the case, I still excelled in school and maintained good grades. Again, I had to try really hard. And my whole entire life was wake up, go to school, go to dance, come back home, do homework, go to bed. And it was just like life on repeat, which is a lot. But I feel like it definitely got me into a good routine of life. I feel like I became very structured, organized, and it just shaped me into like a well developed like young human being. But let's move on. So 60% of my life I felt was spent in the studio, and then 40% was at school and just doing regular normal life things when we look at dance versus life. Let's see. So the commitment was definitely there. Here's more Nutcracker pictures. So first we have Party Scene, Angels, and Flower. And these were very, very cool to do. I got to experience, again, a lot of different roles. So it was nice trying some things at Northwest Dance Studio and then again at Shirley Winters. Again, I had to have a lot of perseverance to actually do all this because some days I would wake up and it was really rough just to get out of bed since my body was always hurting. And then I was also just drained again from trying to tackle everything going on in my life. And then we have summer intensive time. So the first step was to apply, find a summer intensive you're interested in with a certain ballet studio. And then two, we got to send our perfect like arabesque pick that we would submit to that studio. And then the third step was the acceptance. And I got accepted into Long Beach Ballet Summer Intensive. And then just in the middle here, I added a quote, "Be strong, be fearless, be beautiful" by Misty Copeland, which was just kind of inspirational. Again, it was a lot trying to do all this, considering that towards the very end of my dance career, I had a foot injury, so I was no longer able to go on point. But basically my tendon just swelled up and my veins were wrapped around my tendon, so it was really painful to go on point. and my foot was just always like enlarged, and it was just like bulging out of my point shoes. So that was really rough going towards the end. But here I'm at Misty Copeland's Ballet in San Francisco. There's a picture of me. And then here's some more of Long Beach when I got in there. And that summer intensive was 2 months or a month and a half. And I basically stayed there. I met all those girls. That was a really good opportunity. And then I remember gaining confidence after all that because, again, I got to experience ballet somewhere else. And then lastly, I had to quit because of that foot injury. But once I quit, I focused more on just cheer and pep at school. And it was super fun. And then I graduated and then I was all done, unfortunately, due to the injury. But that is it. Thank you.